Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 193. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Our next guest is driven by the belief that every child deserves an equal opportunity to have access to an age-appropriate computer and develop skills that will be essential for their future. Welcome, Lisa Love, one of the co-founders of Tanoshi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. I have given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
So sure, I am Lisa Love, and I am one of the co-founders, and I am the CMO, so I head the marketing for Tanoshi. And at Tanoshi, we are providing an equitable digital education for all kids, no matter their socioeconomic background. Right now, especially with COVID-19, there's this divide in the education space between the haves and the have-not. And with technology, it's called the digital divide. We're trying to level the playing field so that every child has the resources needed in order to do well in school, to do their homework, to complete their homework assignments. So that's kind of a little bit about who we are, Tanoshi. As far as my background, I come from consumer packaged goods background. I worked for major CPG companies like Heinz and Del Monte in brand marketing, managed a portfolio of brands of $75 million. And then I also worked for a major online retailer of wine for over a decade, where it started actually when they were pretty much a startup. I was there for 11 years and did a lot there, from operations to merchandising to business development. So worked in a lot of different areas throughout that company. And I think the one area that has really helped me a lot with Tanoshi is that I built their Amazon business. Grew that business from zero to over $1 million within a couple of years. With Tanoshi, one of our main channels for selling is Amazon. So that learning experience that I had at my previous company really helped Tanoshi as far as the skill sets that I learned.
Talk about process to actually build your business.
Brad Johnston is the CEO, and he actually came up with the idea, and he started the company. I met Brad in 2017 at a pitch contest. When I heard him pitch the Tanoshi computer, especially since it was targeting underserved and underrepresented communities, it just really resonated with me. But, the process of starting a company, definitely you have your business plan. You figure out whether or not you want to be an S Corp or a C Corp, figuring out the whole structure of your company. But I would say the most important thing when you're starting your company is to get a great team. I will not stress that enough. I've started many companies. I've been involved with many startups, and the team is critical. It can make you or break you. So I would say for anyone that wants to start a company, make sure you pick someone, your strength as a person, but then also try to pick people or work with people that complement you. So where you're weak, they're strong. And so that would be like the number one advice I would give to someone that's starting a company, is your team, and making sure you have a great team that you can work with, that has great moral values and can complement you.
What was that aha moment, Lisa, that you knew that your company was going to be successful?
The aha moment, when you start a company, you have a lot of challenges, but that's to be expected, right? That's why you're an entrepreneur. For some reason that you have a passion, right? You have this passion for doing your own thing. That's why I became an entrepreneur, because I didn't want to work for someone else. I didn't want to spend all my time and energy making someone else wealthy. So that aha moment for me was being able to work through the challenges with my team and still come out pretty good. And so I think my aha moment would just be challenges after challenges coming your way, and then being able to resolve those challenges and working through them with your team.
What problem exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
It's really the problem that we're trying to solve right now, which is making sure every child has a computer. You know, computers today are like textbooks back in the 80s and 70s when I was in school. I mean, if you didn't have a textbook back then, you know, you were out of luck. You're just going to fall behind, right? A computer today is the equivalent of a textbook back then. It's so important right now for all kids to have a computer at home where they can do their work, they can email their teachers, they can do research. I think that's really the problem that I want to solve.
Absolutely. And with COVID-19 and everything going on, how is business? It should be very popular with the schools trying to get all of the children on computers.
Right. So definitely. I mean, we saw a huge spike right when everything shut down in March. And we were just coming off of holiday season, December. And we're a startup, so we can't afford computers are capital intense. So it requires a lot of money. Coming off of Christmas, we had low inventory. And then when March hit, it was like, bam, we were just out. And we had thought our inventory would last until like April or so. But March came and we completely sold out. And luckily, we were able to get a pre-order system up on our website. So we were able to take pre-orders, and that still was very, that was popping. That was very popular. And with entrepreneurs and businesses, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to pivot, right? That's the word of 2020 for entrepreneurs and small businesses is pivot. Because you never know with this whole COVID, it's so unknown that you just don't know what's going to happen. And now even with the schools starting again, no one really knows are the kids going to go back to school or are they not? Are they going to need computers? So everything's up in the air. But yeah, I mean, right now, as far as business wise, it's a great time for us. We're definitely getting out there. We're building our brand. We're building awareness. You might have seen we were on Shark Tank in May, and then they re-aired our episode in July. So that, of course, gained a lot of attraction and awareness, and it just keeps going, which is good. But it's, on the flip side, it's very unfortunate.
Are you able to share one piece of advice you would give someone who's interested in pitching on Shark Tank?
A piece of advice for Shark Tank. So we're still in confidentiality agreement, so I can't go into a whole lot of details, but, it is an intense process. It's the first time I've ever been on like national TV. I guess know your financials. Really have to know your business, know your financials, know what you can give up or what you don't want to give up, because, you're going to be questioned about a lot of your finances and just the business in general. So that's probably the best advice I would give.
Lisa, what can we do right now to support your business?
One of our main challenges right now is inventory. Like I said before, it's very capital heavy. Right now we're raising funds. We're raising a $2 million seed round. And I guess what you could do right now is just help us get the word out there and support us. If you know any investors, definitely tell them about us and what we're doing, and that we're a mission-driven company. We're not your big Dell or HP. We've got, it's all about the team, and that we've got most of the people on our team are from educators. My mom taught in the Los Angeles Unified School District for 50 years, and she taught in South Central. Growing up with an educator and seeing just the inequities in the education system, it's sort of ingrained in me just my passion, right, for making sure that everyone has an equal education. She had to spend her own money, her time, resources, developing materials that would resonate with her particular students. I guess you can say I'm sort of a product of my mom and my dad. My dad was an engineer. He was one of the first Black engineers to graduate from Purdue, and back in the 50s. So you can say I'm sort of a product of my parents. My mom was an educator and my dad was technology. But back to your question, just supporting us, just if you know investors, that would be great. If not, even on social media, checking us out, commenting, liking, all of that stuff helps.
Talk about the name of your business, Tanoshi. Yeah, I know it's Japanese. Talk about the meaning and how did you guys come up with that name?
So it's Japanese and it means fun in Japanese. And that's sort of, who we are as a team. We're fun. We're also very passionate. And again, so a lot of us, the CEO, he came from a family of educators. His mom taught, his sister teaches. So we're all about education, but we're also really fun. We have a good time together. And that's really important, especially as you're starting a business, just making sure that you have that sort of balance. I mean, we're 24/7 nonstop, but there's times when we definitely have fun. Even though we're on a call, on a Zoom call or whatever, we still manage to laugh and joke and just have fun with each other. So that's what Tanoshi means, is fun.
There are so many brands and businesses that are successful. Lisa, talk about a brand or a business that is dominating that you admire and why.
Sure. One of the things that I do to sort of relieve stress is workout. That's a big part of my life. I work out 5, 6, 7 times a week, whether it's boot camp or going hiking. I live in the Bay Area, so I live in the hills. So there's a lot of hiking trails, just getting out, right? With that, socks. Having the right socks are important. And so you wouldn't think, socks are kind of a boring product, but not a glamorous product. But, the socks that you wear to work out is important. You don't want socks that are always falling in your shoes, right? So I came across this brand. I don't know, people probably heard of them because they're actually now on TV, but it's called Bombas. And I love them. I check them out. I think I've seen, when I was, online or whatever, I see advertisements for them, but then I saw a commercial for them. And then I heard sort of their whole story about donating a sock, purchasing a sock and donating a sock to homeless. And I'm all for helping others and lifting others up, especially those that are less fortunate. So I sort of just gravitated to that brand. And, like I said, I saw them on TV. I was like, okay, let me just check them out. And so I went online, went to their website, and they are a little bit more pricier, I have to say, but the quality, when I got my first 3 pairs, I was like, okay, these can work. And so I was really happy. And I think they're doing really well. I mean, I went on their website the other day, and now, with the whole Black Lives Matter, they're donating to 5 different Black organizations, which I thought was cool. Black Lives Matter being one of them. So yeah, I was like, I really do support them.
Is there a social cause tied to your business?
Yeah, there is. And at some point, we do want to have some sort of model where we are donating money to specific organization. But yes, we're definitely a social mission organization because our focus is underserved, underrepresented kids and making sure that they have the right tools so that they can succeed, and giving everyone, just leveling the playing field is what we're doing.
Lisa, talk to a younger Lisa. What advice would you give Lisa?
I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was in my 20s, long ago, it was a healthy soul food restaurant, or not restaurant, but catering business with my friends. And then I went to business school And I said, I was going to give the corporate world 10 years of my life. 10 years turned into 20 years of my life. But looking back, I gained a lot of experience in those 20 years. Definitely gained a lot of skill sets within those 20 years. But I would say the one advice that I would give to people is that if you really truly want to do that, whatever it is you want to do in life, just try it. Just do it. At least try it, because for me, like, I would hate having that what if feeling in the back of my mind if I never tried it. So that would like haunt me for the rest of my life. If I never started a business, like going through life, well, what if I did this? Well, what if I did that? I just try it. Just go out on a limb and try whatever it is that you have a passion for. Things don't happen overnight. Definitely. It's a process, but if you don't try, you'll never know.
What advice do you wish you had known prior to starting your own business?
Well, with this particular business, the technology space is fairly new for me. I've always been in sort of either the food and beverage space when I was working, like for consumer packaged goods companies. It was in the food space. So technology is fairly new, and hardware is new for me. And so I would say the one thing that I did not know is how hard hardware is. Hardware, again, it's very capital intense, right? The product, building it costs a lot of money. So I think I guess if I had known that, that would have been great. The fact that too, because it's hard, investors tend to shy away from hardware a lot. So we have to be creative with who we sort of reach out to as far as investors. It's important that investors that we're pitching to, that they get hardware, that they've been in the business, that they know how hardware works. So that's, I think, one of the things that I guess I wish I would have known is just how hard hardware is from the standpoint of getting investors.
If you had to do it all over again, would you do it the same way and invest in the same industry?
Good question. You know what? I would. The bottom line for me is that I need to be in an industry, or I need to be doing work where I'm helping someone, where I feel, especially children, and getting them at an early age. And that's the thing with our computer too, is we target 6 to 12-year-olds. We position the computer as a child's first real computer. And one of the things too is we target girls, because girls are very underrepresented when it comes to degrees in STEM and engineering. So for me, and I went to an all-girls school, so I just have this heart for really empowering girls. I went to an all-girls school for high school. So for me, yes, I would do it over again, and I would do this industry again. I think too, just growing up with an educator and seeing my mom's passion for making sure all of her children have an equal opportunity. I think that's kind of passed on to me, where I really think it's important. I've always thought education is important, because education, bottom line, education is power. So yes, I would definitely do this over again in this space.
Lisa, can you give us a story or a visual when a little girl, 6 years old, received her computer in the mail? What does that experience look like?
I've heard, a lot of different stories. I have pictures, parents that have sent us pictures of their child when they open, especially during Christmas. Christmas is a huge season for us. So there's this one picture of this girl. She's probably about 8 or 9. And she had been wanting a Tanoshi for the longest. The picture shows her opening her Christmas gift. And then she opens it, and then she just, basically she's hugging the computer. And it's really, really cute. And she's in her like Christmas PJs, red and green. And she's got her little pigtails or ponytails. And so it's a really cute image. But yeah, I mean, I've heard a number of stories. There's one customer review that someone just wrote in where the boy it's taken the place of the boys like teddy bear at night where he sleeps with his computer. I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. So yeah, there's a lot of cute stories that we hear from parents, which is great. Definitely, that's one of the things that I think helps us just keep pushing. Okay, keep pushing, even though we've got these challenges, reading those types of stories really helps us to just keep persevering. And, even though, someone might say no, it's like reading those stories just gives us hope.
Lisa, talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Good question. I've never really thought of that, but I think it's just being remembered as someone who cared, someone who tried to do the best that she could in order to make it a little bit better for someone else who might not have the advantages of other kids. I think that's basically how I would want to be remembered. Just someone who tried, who gave it her all, and just really cared for other people, other kids, and wanted to make sure that they succeeded.
Tell us what you are most grateful for right now in your life.
Ooh, I am grateful for, I guess, definitely my mom, my parents. Being an entrepreneur takes a lot financially, mentally. That's why, again, team, your team is critical. But outside of my team, it has to be my parents because they have definitely supported me through this time. I mean, it's been actually this month is 3 years when I started. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs, but they've always been there for me. One of the things, I was at a fireside chat listening to some investors and entrepreneurs that are very, very successful. And it was interesting to hear one guy say the reason that Blacks in particular tend not to sort of, I guess, venture into the startup world, become a founder, is because a lot of Blacks, they don't have the support, right? And you think about it, I mean, yeah, a lot of Black men, women in their 20s, they probably have a lot of loan. They might even have a kid or two, and they've got a lot of responsibility. They might even have to take care of their parents in their 20s. It just kind of dawned on me when he was saying that. And I was like, that's really true. I mean, a lot of African Americans, they unfortunately a lot of them don't have the luxury of entrepreneurship or being an entrepreneur just because of the situation that they're in, and they've got to make money. And when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a startup, you're not making anything. It was just interesting hearing him say that. And I was like, it really dawned on me. Back to your question, as far as being grateful, I'm definitely grateful for my parents and that they have supported me through this journey.
Talk about your most memorable moment in life or business.
One thing that I remember is we do free coding workshops throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. And we started doing them in the Silicon Valley area, where the kids out there, a lot of them are kids of engineers, right? When we would do the class, at the beginning of the class, we would ask them, hey, how many of you have coded before? And I would say 90% of those kids have had, and they're fifth graders, so they're about 8 years old. And like 90% of them will have raised their hands. And some of them were just like, when we asked the question, okay, what type of coding or what language did you do? And I remember one guy shouted out like Java. I was like, oh my gosh. Yet now we do free kids coding workshops in East Oakland, which is a low income area in Oakland. And those kids, we ask the same question, they're the same age, third graders. And a lot of them, they don't even have computers at home. When we ask the question, have you coded? I mean, there's no hands that go up. As we're teaching them though, Scratch Junior is what we use. You see these kids in East Oakland and in the class, and they are having so much fun with the projects that they're building on Scratch Junior, the coding projects. And it's like, gosh, if only they had the opportunity, right? if they had the opportunity and the exposure, they could go so far. But unfortunately, for a lot of those kids, it's not the case. It's really sad. It's really sad that there's, again, that divide between the haves and the have-nots. And so I think that was definitely a memorable experience for me, because it really sank as far as like that division, and the fact that, it's not that these kids don't want to necessarily, it's just they don't have the exposure, right? They were having so much fun. And I'm like, oh, this is so sad. Anyway, yeah.
Lisa, it's amazing to hear you say that. And prior to moving to Vegas, I was in the Bay Area for 15 years. So I know the area very well,
Okay,
including Silicon Valley. But what is
right.
even more, when you talk about the sadness, I remember when I was in the tech space with a startup, and this has been over 20 years ago, and Jesse Jackson was talking about the digital divide, and it's 2020.
Yeah.
And it should be the year of vision, and it should be more. And when you hear that we're still in the digital divide, we're talking about inequality and justice.
Yeah.
Our hearts are saddened.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think education is unfortunately, it's one of the spaces where there's very little progress. And I mean, because like I said, back when my mom was teaching, it was the same thing, right? She taught for 50 years. So, back in the 80s, it was just in 70s, it was the same thing. It was different because back then it wasn't so technology driven. Now it's all technology. So yeah, it's just really sad.
Lisa, if someone spent a whole day with you, what would they learn?
They would learn to keep pushing. They would learn that you're not going to hear what you always want to hear, that you're not going to be able to do what you always want to do throughout the day. They're going to learn to be flexible and just to roll with it, because again, so being an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to pivot. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be nimble. You've got to and also just how to work with your team members. We don't always agree. But they would learn how to sort of express themselves when you don't see eye to eye with your teammate, and it'll come across in a way that's professional, and just keep at it.
Lisa, when I hear your story, I am so admired by you. And you made this pivot from corporate America to the tech space to being a female co-founder of a technology company. And your background, you came from the food and beverage industry, totally different industry. So I'm hearing nothing is impossible. Lisa, drop a value bomb based on what you've learned that you want to share with our audience.
A value bomb. Like you said, I came from corporate world, and, corporate world isn't easy either, right? You've got a lot of personalities. And for me personally, it was your management or your manager will make you or break you. So I guess as just being an entrepreneur, you really have to know yourself and what you want to do. Corporate world isn't for everyone, but neither is entrepreneurship. Is not for everyone. But again, going back to try it, see it if you like it. But I wouldn't say if you don't like it, you failed. I would not say that at all. I would say if it didn't go your way, then it's a learning experience. Like, I never say really that I failed. I think that's such a negative sort of word. I think of everything that I've done is a learning experience. And whether or not you learn from it, that's kind of on you. And what you take from that experience is on you. But at least you've tried. And that's probably what I would say.
Lisa, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I would ask myself, Lisa, are you happy with what you're doing? Because that's really kind of the bottom line too, is whether or not you're doing all this work, you're doing a lot, but are you happy? Are you happy with your journey? And I would say, yes, definitely. I am very happy with what I'm doing.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called the Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Woo! All right, let's do this.
Lisa, the last movie you saw?
Black and blue.
You relax doing what?
Exercise.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Fruit.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Mary J.
Your favorite dance song?
September. Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Your favorite month?
October.
Hit the gym or hit the couch?
Gym.
Lisa, we want to thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, we'd like you to give your social media handles and the best way for our audience to connect with you.
Sure. You can connect with me on Facebook, Tanoshi Kids, and then on LinkedIn, you can connect with me at Lisa Loves Marketing, and then also on Twitter at Tanoshi Kids.
Thank you, Lisa. That's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.